selbst ist 25 Jahre alt, war heuer bereits im Achtelfinale beim Dutch Darts Masters und ist aktuell die Nummer 96 der Welt. Herzlich willkommen zu Hause, Little John, Rowby-John Rodriguez! Sein Gegner kommt aus England, ist 25 Jahre alt und war heuer bei den UK Open im Viertelfinale und Achtelfinale beim German Darts Grand Prix. Hier ist die Nummer 50 der Welt, Josh Payne!
Here come the hot stepper, I'm the lyrical gangster. Big up the crew in the area, still love you like that. No, we don't die, yes, we multiply. Anyone press will hear the fat lady sing. Act like you know, Rico, I know what Bo don't know. Touch them up and go, oh, cha-cha-ching-ching.
Fortune so far for the Austrian representation here at the Austrian Darts Championship 2019. Wins earlier today for Rusty Jake Rodriguez and Dietmar Berger. Defeats, however, in this evening's session for both Alex Steinbauer and Hannes Schneer. Now it's the turn of arguably their main hope today in terms of coming through, Rowby-John Rodriguez, looking to secure his place in round two and set up a meeting with Daryl Gurney at the expense of Josh Payne. And if our most recent encounters on stage are anything to go by, Paul Nicholson, once again we could be in for a very lengthy encounter. The last three matches of the evening session have all gone to 11 legs. Humphries against Hughes, Schneer and Brown, and De Decker and Dobie. Which way's the coin going to spin in this one?
Well, I'm not usually the kind of guy who looks at head-to-heads a lot. But in this case, I couldn't avoid it.
You can't ignore it.
You really can't. They've only ever played each other once in a senior match. And that was at a Players' Championship in Ireland back in 2016. Josh Payne won that 6-0. So, does it tell a story? Probably not, because there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then.
Select Josh to throw first.
However,
the caveat to that is that they've played each other a lot more times in development darts, and the head-to-head record is 8-1 to Josh Payne. So
100.
Josh has definitely got something on Rowby. I have to give the cool stakes to Rowby though. With the, I think he rocks the glasses pretty well.
I think he does.
41.
Not as well as some, but hey,
I don't know. Takes it to the next level, doesn't he? He's no Daryl Fitton. Nobody wore shades like Daryl Fitton.
100.
More hits than, more misses than hits, I should say, for Josh Payne on the European Tour so far this year. 4 qualifications, and he's won only one match. That was at the German Darts Grand Prix, where his
99.
very brief involvement was ended by Mensur Suljovic, 6-2 in the second round of that one. Aside from that, it's in first round defeats in Leverkusen, Hildesheim and Sindelfingen. And he's failed to qualify for 5 Euro Tour events this year as well. So, like one or two others we've seen today, a man looking to perhaps make up for lost time on the European Tour this year.
43.
I don't think qualification is beyond him. Certainly up for grabs at this stage of the season. But a big weekend required here, you would feel.
Absolutely right. If he doesn't perform here, he then has to make a final in Gibraltar, and he's got to qualify for that first, which is no mean feat, because the next two, Josh is not there. He's not in Mannheim.
158.
He's not in Riesa. Same can be said for Rowby-John Rodriguez. So that makes this game even more important.
52.
Am I right in saying as well, this is Rowby-John Rodriguez's first European Tour match since becoming a father, or since Prague, when he had that emergency dash to a local hospital? Did you know about this?
That's exactly right. And I, about 25 minutes ago, met
65.
little John.
So did I.
106.
He's very little.
She.
Sorry, she's very little.
Yeah, she's tiny
58.
little bundles. So Rodriguez, representing Austria, offspring of, born in Prague. Now, should she ever decide to pursue a career in darts or in any other sport, which
58.
country would she be able to represent?
48.
Sometimes it's nice to have a choice.
Sometimes it's nice to have a choice.
Double 16 for Josh to continue the Payne against Rodriguez. And that's a lovely dart, because the way his darts land, he's covered half of that bed. That was a beautiful shot from Josh. And I saw Josh around 11 o'clock this morning. I was having a chat with Mark Webster, and somebody creeps up behind me, and I see this big tanned arm around my throat in a friendly way. And I think there's only one dart player who's got forearms like that. It's Josh.
58.
Not only are his shoulders and his biceps getting bigger, but his waist is getting smaller. I swear.
Yeah, he clearly looks after himself. Josh Payne.
140.
He could be, if he looks after himself and springboards his success, he could well be the
42.
first dart player to grace the front cover of Men's Health. I really do think that. That will be the day that darts changes, when someone does that. Or the cover of GQ or something.
Yeah, we've already had Geraint Price in that feature in The Guardian, I think it was. My naked sporting body. Did you see that?
I've heard about it.
81.
Never get Cliff Mazzarento doing anything like that.
138.
God, can you imagine? Either one of them would be handy. Beautiful for double 12. And Rowby said to me a little bit earlier on, after Rusty got a win against Ted Evans, he felt a little bit of pressure because his little bro got the win.
130.
He's doing well to get himself on level
now,
terms
yeah.
here.
Sibling rivalry spilling over into the first day of the Austrian Darts Championship. Rodriguez looking at double 6 to level things up. We are level at one apiece. Mac Elkin's still there. Still hovering, still lurking with intent.
Always here. Great darts from Payne. And a little bit of a roar as well. Nothing wrong with that. What we've seen from Keegan Brown against Hannah Schneer, that if you roar against this crowd, they've got some bite.
83.
So 3 perfect darts for Josh Payne, but the prospect of a 9-darter remains elusive for this tournament. We've had, as I said earlier, a comparative embarrassment of riches on the European Tour this year. 4 of them in Europe, amongst the rather healthy record-breaking tally of
60.
34 all over the darting world.
Well, that tally is quite astonishing, but
Well, it's only August as well, so
what is even more
58.
astonishing to me is that somebody out there has been using their YouTube channel to count how many dart players wear brown shoes. And I know for a fact Matt Edgar, who plays on tour, he's got his own little YouTube channel.
57.
And he'll be getting a freeze frame of this program here, and he'll be saying, look, Rowby-John Rodriguez is wearing brown shoes. That's pretty much the end of that. Now, What do you want to do, Josh? You can pretty much pick your treble here because you don't have to go for this big fish shot. Sensible play here. 19s he can use now.
100.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything silly from that point. Just set things up.
Well, we talked about Payne's disappointments on the Euro Tour this year, but let's not forget that he's had some great results elsewhere. He was, of course, a quarter-finalist at the UK Open in March. He's looking at 52 here for a 2-1 lead. Does normally like double 16. He's taken it out today, but he can't find it there. But he does have another shot at it very shortly.
Well, JP is looking to go better than the other JP. Well, one of the other JPs. A lot of JP. Justin Pipe, of course, losing out to Vincent van der Voort this afternoon. But JP of the Payne variety is 2-1 to the good.
A couple of last 16 appearances on the Pro Tour this year as well for Josh Payne. Champion on the Pro Tour last year, let's not forget as well. Had that success in Milton Keynes in May.
Yeah, that was a really good performance that day because I was there and the guy beat in the final beat me earlier in the day, and I can testify it was so cold in there that day that most people were wearing long sleeves. Was Josh? Absolutely not. He was winning and flexing his biceps to Dan Dawson at the very end, which turned out to be one of the pictures of 2018. Josh is one of the most mentally strong players on the circuit, but sometimes you can see him telling himself off. He demands a lot from himself. The crowd start to sing for their favourites like MVG, who's coming tomorrow. Peter Wright, also coming tomorrow. Winner of this one gets Gurney, who is having a very good season. Performed very well down under without getting a win. So he'll want to try and get back in the winner's circle as soon as possible because he, the number 4 seed, has got a lot of money to defend at the end of September, beginning of October.
Yeah, that pressure soon quickly comes around. Josh Payne has wrestled the darts in this leg, and he's taken a vice-like grip of this leg as well with that 180. He has got plenty in hand here because all of a sudden the trebles have dried up here for Rodriguez, and they're proving elusive once again.
43.
Too many darts for Rodriguez are coming out of the hand too late. That's why that shoulder starts to engage and he pushes the dart. No such trouble for Josh, who's looking at tops for a 2-leg gap.
94.
He will be back, and far too many times in this game so far has Josh had some breathing room.
A little bit of a flourish there from Rodriguez. I think he perhaps feels the game is up here, but it's got himself into a position just in case Josh Payne can't find this double 10, but he can. And it's a break of throw for a 3-1 lead. Now, Rodriguez did make the final day of a Euro Tour event earlier this year. That was in Zwolle in May. It was a campaign that began with a 6-2 win against Mike de Decker, in which Rodriguez averaged 108.79, the 4th highest first-round average in Euro Tour history.
That's the best he's ever played for me.
And it was a really good performance. I mean, he got to the round 3 and his team were 85. Talking about buying him an Alpine cow as a prize, in much the same vein as Federer got that cow that time as part of his reward for winning a tournament in Switzerland. And I would have loved to have seen that. They could have dragged it up onto the stage in the next European Tour event, made the big presentation, but...
I'm a big fan of things that are a little bit different, and that's very different. That's very much the same as what we're used to. We don't mind a maximum. Josh Payne does at that point.
Yeah, I fancied this one for 180s as well. We've had 5 in the first 4 and a bit legs.
96.
Josh Payne just seems to have the measure of Rowby right now, and through Rowby's career so far. This is a fabulous 42. Position for Josh. He keeps looking the scores the way he's been doing the last 4 legs. There's only one winner. Sensible use of the bullseye to leave himself on a familiar number, which he's had earlier in the match. And there it is again, that push dart from Rowby. It's just coming out of that hand too late. When he gets the timing right, he can put in those 107s, those 108s. But when that timing's slightly off with that cupped hand, comes out too late and it can look very snatchy.
Well, no great damage done. He can tidy this up, 58 away. Oh, but he's off the board completely. My word.
Well, the only thing I can think of is that the flight on that first start was shielding some of that 18. He was going for the top bit, and he's pushed it slightly. Is he going to be punished in the worst way possible?
55.
The answer is no.
You require 40.
Well, Josh Payne off the board just a short while ago. Inside for double 10. And it's 4-1 now, and Josh Payne knows he's got away with that one, but hey, he will not care one jot. 4-1 he leads.
It's at this point where Rowby needs to get aggressive. And you can see in his face that he's just gritting his teeth. And the same from Josh. He knows that he's got to do the same to keep the advantage.
Yeah, 81 the average at the moment for Rowby-John Rodriguez. That is not going to cut the mustard at this level, unless you're up against a below par opponent, and certainly Josh Payne is anything but that, although his average himself is currently at just under 84, but the finishing has been a bit sharper from Josh Payne. 1 from 5 for Rodriguez so far.
I'm a big fan of finding out the root of sayings, Rob, as you know.
Yeah.
I'd love to find out
83.
where cutting the mustard came from, because you don't even cut mustard, you spread it. I'll have to give that one the old search engine treatment.
It's a shame the Kirkulator isn't here, actually, because of course with his countdown pedigree, his acquaintance with Susie Dent, the lexicologist from the OED,
the old
she
wordsmith,
would summon up that answer in seconds.
140.
Great 140 from Josh to put himself within touching distance. This has been Rowby's leg ever since Dart 1. And he's still got this leg in his hand after a wonderful 140. If Josh was to get to 5-1, you can't see Rowby rescuing this, but at 4-2 down,
60.
anything is possible.
40.
It's been a much better leg. Less snatchy darts and 14 darter. Tells Josh Payne that he's not finished yet, Rowby-John Rodriguez.
You can't cut mustard.
7th leg, Josh
So you spread it, but you
Stupropus.
can cut a mustard
Game
seed.
on.
Think about it
Very carefully.
very carefully, very intricate, dexterous fingers required there. Very sharp implements as well.
96.
Microscopic laser precision.
I think I'd need the scientific skills of Keegan Brown to cut a mustard seed. I'd much rather stick it in a pestle and mortar and crush it.
Darren Webster will know
77.
all this because he's from Norwich, and that's where Coleman's have their factory in their base, isn't it? So he might come up with an answer. We'll see him tomorrow. Number 16 seed here this weekend. There's another bounce out, but Josh Payne, well, shrugs that one off. I don't think he'll shrug off 2. It's a wry smile on the face of the man from Gravesend, but I don't think he'll be smiling too much now if Rodriguez piles in a ton 80,
Salt in the wound.
which he might well do.
140.
I love the way that Josh just shrugged off those 2 bouncers. Just got back to work. That's a sign of a very mature young dart player. And
77.
unfortunately, 3 out of 6 darts. I think he's got every right to boil over a little bit.
Yeah, and well, this is a pivotal moment in the match as well. He's 4-2 up. He's throwing first for a 5-2 lead, but there's every
96.
chance here that Rodriguez could steal this one, aided and abetted by these bounce outs. Let's see if there's any more misfortune for Payne here.
Brilliant use of the ball from Josh
98.
Payne.
And it was something that Luke Humphries touched upon. I had a quick chat with him after his match when he came through. 6-5 in the end against Hughes. You know, it did impact on his shot selection, where to go on the board.
58. Josh require 170.
Well, it would be justice if he gets this 170 for me. That is right in the middle. There's another. Bullseye!
145.
Hell of an effort. Sammy can't believe it.
Considering he's had 3 darts on the floor, this would be almost effectively a 13 dart leg if he takes out this 25.
55. Joshua requires 25.
2-8.
Double eights for Josh Payne to alleviate the pain of those drop darts.
9. Rowby requires 75.
Double 12. And Rowby-John is very much alive after those misses from JP.
Huge elements of good fortune though for Rowby-John Rodriguez. He knows it, but to his credit, he didn't stand on ceremony there, and he fully embraced the capture of that 7th leg as well.
The worst thing is, Rob, in the middle of that leg, you can say to Josh, yes, 3 bounce outs, 3 darts on the floor. It's a terrible look. At the end of the leg, you have to take ownership of what you miss. And he missed 2 clean darts at double 8. Still got the lead though, and he's still in a fabulous position. It may just be on throw, but he'd much rather have the lead at this point than not have it.
Or would you rather be the hunter or the hunted? 4-1 becomes 4-3.
Hunted, come and get me. You got to catch me. Would you rather be the hound or the hare?
98.
I wouldn't want to chase after Josh.
Yeah,
He'd probably flat me by the time I get to him.
An increasingly prominent snarl on his face now, Josh Payne. Adam Hunt and Mark Dudbridge, his victims in qualifying for this. And he's the victim of another 180 by Rowby-John Rodriguez, who's looking to level things up at 4 apiece, down to 182. Still with work to do, likewise Payne. 180 though is met with a...
sensational
Josh
dart.
Payne absolutely reveling in that one.
Oh, there was a bit of protein shake in that celebration, I guarantee it. This is turning into a really good dust-up. You look at the fact
57.
that Josh took out 2 good players to get here. Rowby took out 3, and we'll touch on that in a second. This 106 is a big shot. Double 16.
90.
Inside, and he invites Rowby-John to have a go at the centre. 1. 25 needed. Gets 2 of them. Oh, every time. Too good.
Well, again, it's a nice reaction. It's a wry smile, but my word, he'll be bitterly frustrated at that. Double 8 though for Josh Payne. He's already missed double 16 for a 5-3 lead. He's now looking at double 4. He's still looking at double 4, and Rodriguez can come again.
Chances, that's all he can say really. The chances have been there. This game could be over. But right now it could be level. And it is level. I think Rowby-John Rodriguez knows exactly what his record is against Josh. And he genuinely wants to take him out tonight.
Game on.
He's trying to use the crowd.
Rowby-John Rodriguez looking to make the most of home advantage, looking to make it 3 Austrians in the second round. Josh Payne, more points on the floor.
77.
And Rowby-John Rodriguez looking to become the second of his clan to advance to the second round tomorrow as well. And don't forget, we've got Christian Girdle on the way as well, up against Jeffrey Desvan. Here and now, though, it's all about Rodriguez. And whether he can just maintain this momentum. 3 legs without reply. 4-1 down, don't forget.
There's a lot of similarities in the performance tonight of
60.
Josh Payne and that of Luke Humphries. They've had adversity with bounce outs and fallouts. They're involved in a very tight match. It's the same sort of mental pressure that they're under. Maybe a little bit more for Josh because he's playing against someone who is from this country. Now, I mentioned the qualification of Rowby. He took out Martin Schindler, who didn't turn up really. Christian kissed, but it's the win against Danny Knockett I'm impressed with to get here. Yeah. That's beating someone who can play darts right now.
I think he beat Kist as well in another qualifying campaign for a European Tour event earlier this year, and I think it was 6-5 in that one as well. Anyway, here and now, Rowby-John
100.
That last start from Josh was very special because I thought that 60 was covered. He's put himself on a number that's amazingly doable now. Forced a treble from Rowby, which didn't come. Advantage Payne.
But again, you just wonder whether Josh Payne has every faith in the dartboard. Bullseye.
99. You require 126.
This place will get uber loud if he hits this.
Oh.
Single or treble, take your pick. He needs the bull.
And he doesn't get the bull.
92.
And it was some way off.
Josh, you require 25.
And Josh Payne with 25 points required. Oh, well, he can still rescue this, but he's only got one dart at the double, and it's at double 4, and it wasn't enough. He needed 2 darts there. He needed to give himself every opportunity. He had to play his percentages. Kayla's first dart has cost him, and Rodriguez pounces all over that one again, like a cheap suit all over it.
How many legs could Josh have won?
10 flag,
It's that old adage, it's the Richie Burnettism. I lost 6-3, but I should have won 9-0. Right now, Josh Payne, out of 9 legs, in my opinion, could have won 7 or 8 of them. And in every likelihood, he might lose this match 6-4 now.
Well, this is just turning into an absolute nightmare for Josh Payne. Everything seems to have conspired against him.
100.
The bounce outs. Rodriguez fully capitalising, using the home crowd to his advantage, as he did on that day, that weekend in Innsbruck 4 years ago, when he went all the way to the quarter-finals.
48.
And everything just seems to have conspired against the 25-year-old from Gravesend. Josh Payne fighting for his life in the Austrian Darts Championship, and perhaps running out of lifelines as far as his hopes of qualifying for the European Championship are concerned as well. Rodriguez down to 2-7-3.
Still in there though, Josh Payne, fighting and fighting well. Some of those misses at doubles were so close. 60 needed to leave a finish. Gets there. Really smart use of the board from Rowby. That's some next level mathematics. And Josh needs some brilliance of his own. Go to 17s. Brilliantly done. That second dart was precarious.
170.
What a game.
What a game, and there's every prospect that we could, for the 4th match running this evening, go all the way to 11 legs.
58.
Josh Payne is looking at 90. Rodriguez could only post 58 there as well.
Bullseye.
Well, he's had a few cracks at these already tonight.
64.
And once again he's off target. Question now is, will he return? Highest checkout of this match so far is 75. Rodriguez is looking at 112. It ain't going to go with that dart.
Deja vu, Rob. A shot like 25. Last time he had this shot, he hit the 14, not the 9.
Yeah, restricted his options. Only had 1 bite at double 4 in the end. Cannot afford to make the same mistake again. This time he gets it right. Double 8 for the decider. And we are going all the way. You can hear a pin drop inside the multiversum. It is 5-5. And as was the case with Humphries and Hughes, and with Schneer and Brown, and with De Decker and Doby, going to 11 legs once again, and George Noble loves every minute of this.
Cracking game. A really good advert for the sport of darts, this. And the good sign for Josh on that shot was that the single 9, if there was the bullseye in the middle of that big 9, he hit it right in the middle. And finally, he's pinged a 2-darter just like that. And that may give him enough confidence to get over the line here. This could be an edgy 11th leg, but Josh Payne has the darts for now. He's still got them with that first dart. And that second dart. And a third!
Great recovery, 58 with the first visit. Makes amends there with the 9th 180 of the match.
140.
Rodriguez keeps himself involved with a ton 40. 2 points in it. Payne looking to get back in control once again. Needs a treble from somewhere.
57.
Can't find it. Inconsistency. Coming back to haunt Josh Payne at the worst possible moment, perhaps. Rodriguez looking at the 19s on 265.
Needs treble 20. Can't see that 19 segment. Gets it.
98.
Pressure's on Payne now to get himself on a 2-darter.
Great shot by Rodriguez. That was absolutely deadly with that final dart. Gives himself the opportunity on 167. 23 scored here, 183 away.
80.
Great final dart again from Payne just to keep himself involved as well.
A tremendous last start from Josh Payne, that, because it gives him one of those outs around that 120
60.
range, which gives him a miss. That miss has to be a 19. If he gets the treble, he should get a shot. Will it be a double six of the bull? It'll be at the bullseye for the game. And it's just shy. It's a width of a wire again.
Once again, though, he's left himself that 25. And all he can do now is hope and pray that Rodriguez cannot find this 107.
55.
And Rodriguez with a look of almost resignation on his face after that second dart. Josh Payne, no mistake, right in the middle of that single fat 9. And he's got 1 dart left at double 8s. He's got the crowd to deal with as well. And he didn't like that one bit.
That third dart he threw there was in the double 8 if the other one wasn't there.
52.
It just smacked right in the right middle of it and skewed it to the left. It's all in the hands of the Austrian youngster now. Double 16. I have to say it, this is to nick it.
Well, you could say call the police because there's been a huge act of daylight robbery committed here, but Rowby-John Rodriguez has produced an astonishing victory to see off Josh Payne. He trailed by 4 legs to 1 in that one, and he rode his luck, and he certainly benefited from a significant number of bounce outs and bounce offs by Josh Payne. Every sympathy for the 25-year-old from Gravesend, but it's an early exit once again on the European Tour stage for Josh Payne. And for Rodriguez, he's the 3rd Austrian through today to the 2nd round, and also the 2nd member of his family to advance as well. And it's Darryl Gurney who lies in wait in the 2nd round tomorrow. Huge drama once again here at the Multiverse. Another 6-5 scoreline in what is turning out to be an astonishing evening session here. Rowby-John Rodriguez takes a bow, but he'll acknowledge a huge amount of good fortune in that one.
Er genießt das Bad in der Menge und das hat er sich auch wirklich verdient. Herzlichen Glückwunsch, willkommen in Runde 2, Rowby. Nerven hast du ja weder deine noch unsere geschont jetzt bei dieser Partie. Wie geht's dir denn rein mental?
Mental, ich habe gewonnen, mir geht's sehr gut. Ich habe schon einen Riesendruck gehabt. Viele meiner Freunde sind dieses Jahr gekommen, von meiner Familie, Freunde sind viele gekommen. Mein kleiner Bruder hat heute Vormittag schon gewonnen. Und für mich war das, du kannst nicht, dass er der Einzige ist, der am Samstag noch dabei ist. Das geht nicht. Ja, aber die Fans haben mich zum Sieg getragen. Also vielen Dank.
Das ist ein Applaus. Danke auch an den Bruder für die mentale Hilfe sozusagen. Gibt es eine kleine Familienparty heute am Abend?
Nein, wir müssen uns auf morgen fokussieren.
Alles klar. Tut das. Wir freuen uns, dass wir euch beide morgen wiedersehen. Einen schönen Abend und bis morgen. Rowby-John Rodriguez.